with an underwhelming result. They got swept in the first round, according to Woj. Former Bucks head coach Mike Budenholzer is the Suns' top target, with discussions expected to move quickly towards a deal. So let's just talk for a moment about Kevin Durant. From the time he left Golden State, whenever they hire their new coach, whether it's Bud or anybody else, he will have had 6 different head coaches since leaving the Warriors. It's worth pointing out, in that time, his teams have won a combined total of 2 playoff series. So, Zach, I find this a fascinating dynamic. I'm not exactly sure what to make of it. What should I make of it?
Well, I'm not sure why this is Kevin Durant's coach, and we're making this story all
because
about
he's Kevin Durant.
Well, why is it not Devin Booker's coach? Why is it not Matt Ishbia's coach?
Well, Matt Ishbia is a whole other conversation.
Yeah, damn right he is.
Maybe from the moment he got there, a lot of things have gone wrong. That's fair. Well, look, I do sometimes wonder about these owners. Andrea, you were making this point about how quickly owners fire people.
Yeah.
These people made their billions of dollars in businesses where they didn't change course that rapidly after 1 year at a time, and then they buy these teams like they're playthings, and all of a sudden they're just moving pieces around. But here's the reason for Durant. I will defend that conversation, because I'm not comparing Devin Booker to Steph Curry, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and the greatest players of all time. This is if you want to be that guy, then this is what comes with being that guy.
So that's undeniably weird. All those coaches you put up there, all those different teams you put up there. And we're 7-8 years removed from it now. The more of this kind of stuff happens, the more I just go back and look. I wonder if that cap spike, remember when the cap skyrocketed and it was the only reason in that one summer that Golden State, a 73-win team, could sign a player like this, who was the best or probably second best player in the NBA then. I sometimes wonder, was that the worst thing that happened to Kevin Durant? Because he went there, he won 2 titles, 2 finals MVPs, no one can take that away from him. He's never going to get the credit that those accomplishments would normally bestow on him because of how good the team was. I think he's realized that, his people realize that, he feels that, and he's just kind of been a wayward soul ever since that. I wonder if he went back to that moment and Golden State was not an option for him, if he could have made his own path somewhere else in a way that was more sustainable, because, yeah, the 2 titles are awesome. He was incredible, 2 finals MVPs, that's all-time historic stuff. It just felt like he's been wayward ever since then, and it's just getting more and more wayward. And now we have a new coach in Phoenix, and this team they won no playoff games. And where do you go from here? I don't know. We'll see.
Chiney, I'm trying to read your face as we're having this conversation. I can't. What's your reaction to this?
Yeah, I think I have mixed emotions here, because one, a coach that has won a championship should not just get 1 year to be able to steer this team. So that frustrates me. And then it also frustrates me, this idea that Kevin Durant can't be separated from his tenure in Golden State. While we understand that was a controversial decision of a superstar, nonetheless, we know he is one of the greatest scorers of all time. And if you look at what he did this year in Phoenix, he was probably one of the most consistent guys. I noted that after All-Star break, he upped his field goal attempts because he understood, like, this team is not coming together the way I needed them to. So let me try to put the team on my back. And if they still fell short, one thing that I do not like is that after they lost, you started hearing those issues swirling. Oh, the offense didn't work for me. Oh, Devin Booker potentially could be elsewhere. This is not what I necessarily signed up for. At some point, you have to double down on your decision. And I think that's the only issue I have with Kevin Durant. When you come somewhere that has embraced you, someone that has invested in you, you just might have to double down and stay where you are. The grass may not always be greener. And I think seeking these other pastures where, I mean, that's sort of where the narrative kind of goes. It's like, is this going to work? If you look at this big three, that's my final emotion. This was constructed to be the best big three in basketball offensively, right? They had a 4th quarter problem. That is a problem when you have that many scorers on the floor. They also got swept by the T-Wolves. That is a problem when you have those players on the floor. So clearly something wasn't working. Was it Kevin Durant's fault? Because of the choices he made, that's the first person we run to. But the reality of the business of basketball is they're going to go to the coach first when they can't keep the players happy. And that, to me, makes me super mad, because coaches deserve better across the league.
Drea.
Yeah, I think, Zach, going to what you said about how that Warriors and Kevin Durant going to the Warriors kind of was something that was maybe bad for him. I think it was bad for owners. Like, Kevin Durant going to the Warriors and winning immediately. I'll even say LeBron going to the Heat. What did he win in 2 years? Those situations where superstar players went to established cultures and had immediate success gave a false sense of immediacy to other owners. Think about what the Bucks did, right? It wasn't working when Dame came and they didn't like the coach, so they fired the coach, they bring in someone else. They still had the same issues. Kevin Durant, you get the Warriors, or you get the Warriors with the big three, and he wins. So now let's create a big three in Phoenix and expect him to win right away. It doesn't work that way.
Well, anymore.
Relationships take
Those
time.
days have passed.
But even back then, though, he joined a team that was already so elite, already had success, already trusted their head coach. Like, that's not happening right now.
They're the ones who changed it. The big three hasn't stopped working on its own. It stopped working because the league put in all these new rules to prevent teams from being able to dominate in that way. It's very boring to get into what they all are, but the sum total of it is they haven't figured that out. Look, I'm old enough to remember when Matt Ishbia told me that every team in the league would trade places with the Suns. I think that was Monday of this week, and he fired his coach Thursday. So someone explained that.
It's going great. Everything's going great. What are you talking about?
The house is not burning down in Phoenix.
But what do we say? The roof is on fire.
And by the way, Kevin, I voted for him All-NBA this year.
Me
Did
too.
you? Yeah, I mean, he was great. No one's questioning his greatness. What we're questioning to some degree is a player's legacy is going to be based not only on how good they were, but on their accomplishments. And the accomplishments do not befit a player of his greatness. He's too good for all of this garbage that has gone on around him to continue, Jay. That, I think, is the point I'm trying to make.
So, okay, here's what I hear around this conversation. And granted, they're two different conversations, but I see the same theme that's being built for LeBron James around coaches and coaching killers. So put that list back up on the screen again, please. Can we please put that list back up on the screen?
The coaches
I want to go through an exercise.
There you go.
All right, so granted, PJ Carlissimo, Scott Brooks, so Kenny Atkinson, what's happened to Kenny Atkinson? Where's Kenny Atkinson?
I don't know. We all thought he was doing a very good job in Brooklyn, right? He's an assistant where now?
Golden State.
Golden State.
He'll get another head job.
All right, where's Steve Nash?
I don't know. They chose to bring him in and then threw him out the door as soon as
So Monty Williams in Detroit, and then Frank Vogel I get coming off LeBron James and all that stuff. But let's also start to evaluate what the coaches have done without having the talent of Kevin Durant as well. I don't think we do the same exercise, right? Same thing with LeBron James. Go through what all these coaches have done post LeBron James.
Monty Williams had the Suns in the finals 3 years ago, and then he's Monty
without
Williams
Kevin Durant.
and Coach Budenholzer.
Without Kevin Durant.
Mike Budenholzer. That's my point. And then they fired him. They bring in Durant. They were way better off then than they are now.
Right? But think about the path that they went. It's just not in a vacuum. It's also the path that they had to get there. So you can't just look at it like, oh, he just took them there. How did they get there? And what was the construction of that roster as well before they made the move?
But you hemorrhage a lot of the roster to bring in the star player, and that's a problem that all these teams are getting in.
Yeah, but how is that Kevin Durant's fault?
I mean, the fact that when you choose a place that is tag teaming with Devin Booker and then you bring in Bradley Beal, I mean, that's the construction
Kevin Durant
issue.
did demand a trade and say, I want to trade there and only there to that place.
But then you hemorrhage your roster, and now you don't have the depth that the other teams have that are contending.
The stars are the ones who will then say, hey, this situation is bad. I'll get out of here. And you leave the wreckage behind you that there is in Brooklyn now and that there will be in Phoenix when this is done and all the other places. That's the way this system is now set up to work.
I just don't understand why Frank Vogel, who's won a championship, couldn't have one more season to see if they could figure it out. I mean,
because they felt like he lost the locker room.
But he didn't even have a full locker room.
I agree that you're correct.
It's like trying to put a puzzle together and none of the pieces are flipped over.
Isn't there a TV show
just
like
you're correct. You're correct.
Yeah,
You're correct.
But everything's fine.
Give the guy a
26 teams would trade places with the Suns. It's all going great.